I saw my sister's message. I need to tell you something. Meet me, alone. And my gut twisted. What would you do? Rain pattered against the cafe's glass walls. Free Wi-Fi buzzed on my phone. Sophia was late, again. My latte was getting cold, mirroring the chill creeping through me. Her message. It felt wrong. Sophia and I, we hadn't been close lately. A fight over. Well, it doesn't matter now, does it? It was stupid. Petty. Emma, I messed up. Those 3 words, they hung in the air, heavier than the synthetic coffee aroma. Messed up how, Sophia? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. I already knew, deep down, that whatever she was about to say would change everything. It's Dad, she whispered, glancing around as if someone might be listening. The investment, the blockchain app he's been pushing, it's not real. He's losing everything. And I helped him. My head swam. Dad, always the pillar of our family, the financial genius. A fraud? Helped him how? I forged Mom's signature on some documents. He said it was just a formality. He swore he'd pay it back. Her voice cracked. I stared at her. Mom had been gone for 5 years. Using her signature, it was beyond despicable. What kind of person does that? I found a hidden folder, I said, my voice shaking. On Dad's old tablet. Passwords, bank accounts, everything. Sophia's eyes widened. You didn't. I did, and what I found? It's worse than you can imagine. He's not just losing money, Sophia. He's been transferring funds offshore for years. He's building something, and it's not with good intention. The rain intensified, drumming a frantic rhythm against the glass. A notification popped up on my phone. Unknown number. Stop snooping. Could Dad know? Was he watching us? My hands started to tremble. I didn't know what to do. Protect my family or expose their crime. I opened the door, and I saw a person I have not seen for years, holding an envelope addressed to me. How could I trust her now? I walked home, the city lights blurring through the rain. Every shadow seemed to conceal a threat. Every notification a warning. The envelope burned in my pocket. It had been years since I last saw Aunt Carol. I trusted her when I was a kid, and she always treated me as her own. But why now? Why after? The living room, usually a sanctuary, now felt like a trap. I threw the envelope on the table and went straight to my computer. I needed to understand Dad's blockchain scheme, not just the offshore accounts, but the overall infrastructure. I spent hours digging through databases, tracing transactions. Each click revealed a deeper layer of deceit. It became clear this was more than just financial mismanagement. He was using Mom's name to lure investors, promising impossible returns with fake documents. He created a network with various shell companies, and the scale was astonishing. Aunt Carol's letter was sitting right. It was a single piece of paper, handwritten and very old, stating, "I know what your father is doing, and I need your help." It was like she knew, even back then, what was to come. My phone buzzed in my hand, displaying a message. "Your sister is in danger. Meet me alone at the old docks at midnight if you want to keep her safe." I glanced at my phone and saw that it was from Sophia's contact. My heart started racing. What do I do? I had no choice. The old docks were deserted, the air thick with the smell of salt and decay. Neon city lights flashed over the still dark water. It was the kind of place that swallowed secrets whole. The meeting place was so stereotypical that I didn't know whether I should laugh or cry. I started to think about all the times that I should have known this all would happen. I was so blind. A figure emerged from the shadows. It wasn't Dad. It was a woman I didn't recognize, her face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. "Where's Sophia?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady despite the fear twisting in my gut. The woman chuckled, a cold, brittle sound. "Sophia is detained. Let's just say she knows too much." She tilted her head, and a sliver of her face became visible in the dim light. She was young, probably in her early 20s. "Who are you? What do you want?" "I work for your father," she said smoothly. "He appreciates your curiosity. But some things are best left buried. You are getting too close and getting my boss in trouble. So, let's just say that you are in over your head." My mind raced. Dad had hired someone? Someone this ruthless? I was so wrong when I thought this all was just money. "Tell him I know everything," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "I know about the offshore accounts, the fake investors, Mom's signature. I have proof." The woman's eyes narrowed. "That's unfortunate. It looks like we need to escalate things. I am just warning you now." She then turned and disappeared back into the darkness. As she disappeared, I saw her trip, and a small piece of paper fell out of her pocket. I rushed to pick it up and saw it was an address to a well-known hospital. Why? I ran back home, adrenaline pumping. I called Sophia, but her phone went straight to voicemail. Panic clawed at my throat. I needed help, but who could I trust? The police? They would laugh at me, considering that all I had was a woman I didn't know. Aunt Carol. I dialed her number, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. After a few rings, she answered. "Emma, is that you? I've been waiting for your call." Her voice was calm, reassuring, a lifeline in the storm. "Aunt Carol, I'm in trouble. Dad, he's involved in something dangerous. Sophia's missing." "I know," she said quietly. "Meet me at my house, now. We have a lot to discuss." Aunt Carol's house was like stepping back in time. Old furniture, stacks of books, the air thick with the scent of lavender and something else, something metallic. "I've been watching your father for years," she said, pouring me a cup of tea. "Since your mother died, I always suspected something wasn't right. But why didn't you say anything?" "I needed proof," she said. Her eyes filled with a sorrow that went beyond Mom's death. "And I needed you. You're strong, Emma. You always were. And you are the only one who can stop him." She handed me a file. Inside were documents, photographs, recordings, evidence of Dad's illegal activities dating back decades. "Your father isn't just a fraud," Aunt Carol said, her voice low. "He's involved in something much bigger, something dangerous." She started whispering. "I know where Sophia is," she said. "I know who your father is working with. He had connections with the shady people from the very beginning." My blood ran cold. This was far more complex than I could have ever imagined. A notification blinked on Aunt Carol's old computer. A news report. "Local businessman under investigation for financial fraud." Dad's picture flashed on the screen. Someone had leaked the information. But who? Did Dad have enemies I didn't know about? What was he really involved with? Aunt Carol looked at me, her expression grim. "Things are about to get very complicated, Emma. How could I navigate this nightmare? Was exposing Dad the right thing to do, even if it meant destroying our family?" The front door was banging from someone outside. It was loud and violent. I grabbed the closest thing I saw and went to the door, a person I thought I would never see again. My mom. What just happened? Mom was alive? It was impossible. I had seen her. I had mourned her. How? Why? The question swirled in my mind, suffocating me. "Emma," she said, her voice hoarse, "I need to explain." But before she could say another word, the door crashed open and two figures burst inside. They were the same people I saw on the dock. "Where is he?" one of them shouted, his eyes scanning the room. "Where's your father?" Mom stepped in front of me, shielding me with her body. "He's not here," she said, her voice trembling but defiant. Aunt Carol moved with surprising speed, grabbing a heavy vase from a nearby table. "Get out of my house!" she yelled, swinging the vase at the intruders. A brief struggle ensued, furniture crashing to the floor. But soon they managed to pull us and grab us. My mother and Aunt Carol were together in the corner, and the men took me out. Everything was happening so fast. 1 minute I was standing in Aunt Carol's living room. As the car sped away, I saw Mom and Aunt Carol standing in the doorway, their faces etched with fear and determination. I had no idea where I was going or what Dad was planning, but I knew one thing. I had to find a way to stop him. Hours passed. I was locked in a room, my phone gone, cut off from the outside world. The room was bare, the walls painted a dull gray. I felt a sense of crushing hopelessness. Suddenly the door creaked open and Dad stepped inside. He looked tired, his face pale and drawn. "Emma," he said softly, "I didn't want it to come to this." "What is this, Dad?" I asked, my voice shaking with anger. "What are you doing?" "I'm protecting our family," he said, his voice rising. "You don't understand. These people, they're dangerous. They'll take everything from us." "What are you talking about?" I demanded. "You're the one who's dangerous. You lied to us. You stole from us. You faked Mom's signature. And now you've kidnapped me." Dad's face crumpled. "I did it for you," he said. "For your future. I wanted to leave you something." "By ruining everything," I said, tears streaming down my face. He stood for a moment, saying nothing. "I'm sorry. I really am." "Where's Sophia?" I demanded. He hesitated. "She's safe as I can make her." "Let her go, Dad," I pleaded. "Let us all go. We can fix this. We can turn ourselves in. Just stop now before it gets any worse." Dad looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and desperation. He then started to shake his head and gave me a piece of paper. It was the address of where Sophia was. "Go save your sister. This is my last good deed." He then turned and left the room, leaving me alone in the darkness. Was this a trap? Could I trust anything he said? What choice did I have? I found Sophia locked in a small room, guarded by one of Dad's thugs. I created a diversion, yelling about an imaginary fire and causing just enough chaos for her to overpower the guard. We ran. We ran as fast as we could, not stopping until we reached the nearest police station. As the police began their investigation, the truth began to emerge. Dad's illegal activities were far more extensive than I had ever imagined. He had been laundering money for a powerful criminal organization, using the blockchain app as a front. Mom had discovered what he was doing and threatened to expose him. That's why he faked her death and sent her away. And now those people are after us. The news was a wildfire, Dad's empire crumbling before our eyes. He was arrested, facing a long list of charges. I visited him in prison. He looked broken, defeated. "I'm sorry, Emma," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I ruined everything." I looked at him, the man who had been my hero, now reduced to a shell of himself. I felt a surge of anger, but also a flicker of pity. "Why, Dad?" I asked. "Why did you do it?" He sighed. "I wanted to be someone," he said. "Someone important, someone worthy of your mother's love." I stared at him, speechless. His ambition, his insecurity had destroyed everything. In the end, I testified against him. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I knew it was the right thing. Sophia, Mom, Aunt Carol, and I were reunited. The family had been ripped apart and pieced back together. The scars were deep, but we were alive. We sold everything, paid back the investors, and started to rebuild our lives. It wasn't easy. There were times when I wanted to give up. But I knew I couldn't. I had to keep going, for Mom, for Sophia, for myself. I wanted to start my own business. I ended up teaching cybersecurity to the elderly. What started as a small group of people grew and grew. I eventually opened my own business and dedicated the success to Mom. Looking back, I often wonder if I could have done anything differently. Could I have stopped Dad before he went too far? Was I too blind to see what was happening? Maybe. But I also know that I did everything I could to protect my family and bring the truth to light. And that's all that matters. What would you choose? Revenge or forgiveness? 15 years felt like a lifetime, yet it all boiled down to one meeting. One swift kick to the curb. But here's the thing, I saw it coming. Mark, my boss, had been circling me like a vulture for months. He wanted a fresh face, someone cheaper, someone more pliable. He thought I was blind, complacent after all those years. He thought wrong. The meeting was short, brutal. "Carolyn," Mark said, his voice oozing false sympathy, "we're restructuring. Your position is redundant." Redundant. After 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears, after countless late nights, missed family dinners, and stress-induced migraines. Redundant. But I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I simply nodded, packed my things, and walked out. I knew this day would come, and I had been preparing. For months, I had been meticulously documenting everything. Every shady deal Mark orchestrated, every instance of his incompetence, every ethical line he crossed. I recorded confidential meetings with my phone tucked into my blazer pocket. I subtly redirected key client contracts to a shell corporation I'd established. And I planted enough damaging information in his name to make his career implode. It was a slow burn, a strategic dismantling. I wasn't driven by blind rage. I was driven by a sense of justice, a desire to protect the team I had built, the clients I had nurtured. The satisfaction was exquisite. Within weeks, the dominoes started to fall. An anonymous tip led to an internal investigation. The shell corporation I had set up revealed a network of kickbacks and shady dealings. And the damning emails I had planted, well, let's just say they painted a very unflattering picture of Mark's leadership abilities. He was fired, publicly humiliated. His career was in ruins. Did I feel guilty? Maybe a little. But the overwhelming emotion was relief. Relief that I had protected my team from his incompetence. Relief that I had exposed his corruption. Relief that I had. Of course, there were consequences. The company was thrown into chaos. There were layoffs, uncertainty. But in the long run, it was better. A toxic element had been removed. A new foundation could be built. And me, I'm doing better than ever. I took the severance package, invested wisely, and started my own consulting firm. I'm my own boss now. I set my own hours. I choose my own clients. And sometimes, late at night, when the city lights are shimmering outside my window, I think about Mark. I wonder if he ever realized how thoroughly I had outsmarted him. I wonder if he ever learned that you can't underestimate the power of a woman who knows her worth. What's the moral of the story? Don't underestimate anyone. Always be prepared. And never ever underestimate the power of strategic revenge. Now tell me, what lengths would you go to if you were betrayed like that? Like this video, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more stories of workplace betrayal and sweet, sweet revenge. And don't forget to share your own experiences in the comments below. Write what you'd choose. What would you do in my place? Should I have just taken the high road? Walked away with my head held high? Maybe, but honestly, that's not me. That's not how I'm wired. I needed him to understand the weight of his actions. I needed him to feel the sting of betrayal, the humiliation of failure. I know it sounds harsh, maybe even a little bit vindictive, but you weren't there. You didn't see the casual cruelty in his eyes as he delivered the news. You didn't hear the barely concealed smirk in his voice. You didn't feel the years of dedication being tossed aside like yesterday's newspaper. So, yeah, I wanted him to suffer. A little. And honestly, he deserved it. The aftermath was interesting. Some people praised me for my courage, for standing up to corporate greed. Others criticized me for my methods, for taking matters into my own hands. They said I should have gone to HR, that I should have filed a lawsuit. But HR was useless, and a lawsuit would have taken years, cost a fortune, and probably wouldn't have achieved anything. I wanted results, and I got them. My phone buzzed with a message from Sarah, one of my former team members. "Caroline, you're a legend. Thank you." That message made it all worthwhile. It was a reminder that I hadn't just done it for myself. I had done it for them, for the people who had trusted me, who had relied on me, for the people who deserved better than what Mark was offering. I traveled, I read books, I reconnected with friends. I allowed myself to feel the emotions I had been suppressing for so long. Anger, sadness, relief, joy. I realized that I had been so focused on my career, on climbing the corporate ladder, that I had forgotten what really mattered. Relationships, experiences, personal growth. This whole experience made me question my existence and what I am doing. The city felt different, brighter somehow. I walked through the park, the sun warm on my face, the leaves rustling in the breeze. I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't experienced in years. I was no longer chained to a desk, beholden to a toxic boss. I was free to create my own path, to pursue my own passions. My passion, which was helping the elderly on cybersecurity, is growing. The old ladies would meet me at the local cafe and get upset with. As I took a sip of my coffee, a man approached my table. He was tall, well-dressed, and carried himself with an air of authority. "Carolyn," he said, his voice smooth and professional. "I'm Agent Davies from the FBI. We need to talk." The FBI. What did they want with me? Had Mark filed some kind of complaint? Was I in trouble? Agent Davies sat down, his expression serious. "We've been monitoring your activities," he said. "Your actions against Mark Stevens have brought some unexpected attention." Unexpected attention? What was that supposed to mean? "Mr. Stevens was involved in some rather sensitive matters," Agent Davies continued. "Matters that go far beyond corporate corruption. We believe he was laundering money for a foreign government." My jaw dropped. Mark? A spy? It seemed impossible. "We need your help, Carolyn," Agent Davies said. "We believe you have information that could be crucial to our investigation." I felt a chill run down my spine. I had stumbled into something much bigger than I could have ever imagined. Was all of this even worth it? What would you do? How do I even help? I knew my life wasn't going to be the same anymore. The request felt so cliché. Why me? Of all the people that they can get, why would they choose me? That's what I was going to ask Agent Davies. Why me? Agent Davies looked at me and smiled. "It's not what you know, it's what you can do." He then handed me a card. It was a meet and greet. Today? I looked up at Agent Davies, but he was nowhere to be seen. I ran to the car. When I arrived at the building, there were people in suits roaming around everywhere. I stood there and waited to be greeted. A man then approached me. Carolyn, welcome. I am Agent Smith. It's a pleasure to meet you in person." I just smiled. "Let's get to work, shall we?" I followed Agent Smith into a room. It looked like something from a movie. He took me to this very advanced computer. "So, this is where the magic happens. We need your help to uncover what Mr. Stevens was doing with his clients. There's not a lot of time.